afford to steal important things like hairspray because you had to have your hair jacked up if you wanted to make the rounds at the clubs. The kitchen was smaller than a bathroom and just as putrid. In the fridge, there'd usually be some old tuna fish, beer, Oscar Mayer bologna, expired mayonnaise, and maybe hot dogs if it was the beginning of the week and we'd either stolen them from the liquor store downstairs or bought them with spare money. Usually, though, Big Bill, a 450-pound biker and bouncer from the Troubadour, who died a year later from a cocaine overdose, would come over and eat all the hot dogs. We'd be too scared to tell him it was all we had. There was a couple who lived down the street and felt sorry for us, so every now and then they'd bring over a big bowl of spaghetti. When we were really hard up, Nikki and I would date girls who worked in grocery stores just for the free food. But we always bought our own booze. It was a matter of pride. In the kitchen sink festered the only dishes we owned, 2 drinking glasses and 1 plate, which we'd rinse off now and then. Sometimes there was enough crud caked on the plate to scrape a full meal from, and Tommy wasn't above doing that. Whenever the trash piled up, we'd open the small sliding door in the kitchen and throw it onto the patio. In theory, the patio would have been a nice place, the size of a barbecue and a chair, but instead there were bags of beer cans and booze bottles piled up so high that we'd have to hold back the trash to keep it from spilling into the house every time we opened the door. The neighbors complained about the smell and the rats that had started swarming all over our patio, but there was no way we were touching it. Even after the Los Angeles Department of Health Services showed up at our door with legal papers requiring us to clean the environmental disaster we had created. Our bathroom made the kitchen look immaculate in comparison. In the 9 or so months we lived there, we never once cleaned the toilet. Tommy and I were still teenagers. We didn't know how. There'd be tampons in the shower from girls the night before, and the sink and mirror were black with Nikki's hair dye. We couldn't afford, or were too lazy to afford, toilet paper, so there'd be shit-stained socks, band flyers, and pages from magazines scattered across the floor. On the back of the door was a poster of Slim Whitman. I'm not sure why. Outside the bathroom, a hallway led to 2 bedrooms. The hall carpet was spotted with charred footprints because we'd rehearsed for our live shows by setting Nicky on fire, and the lighter fluid always ended up running down his legs. The bedroom Tommy and I shared was to the left of the hallway, full of empty bottles and dirty clothes. We each slept on a mattress on the floor draped with one formerly white sheet that had turned the color of squashed roach. But we thought we were pretty suave because we had a mirrored door on our closet. Or we did. One night, David Lee Roth came over and was sitting on the floor with a big pile of blow, keeping it all to himself as usual, when the door fell off the hinges and cracked across the back of his head. Dave halted his monologue for a half-second and then continued. He didn't seem to be aware that anything out of the ordinary had happened, and he didn't lose a single flake of his drugs. Nicky had a TV in his room and a set of doors that opened into the living room, but he had nailed them shut for some reason. He'd sit there on the floor writing "Shout at the Devil" while everyone was partying around him. Every night after we played the whiskey, half the crowd would come back to our house and drink and do blow, smack, Percodan, Quaaludes, and whatever else we could get for free. I was the only one shooting up back then because a spoiled, rich, bisexual, menage-a-trois-loving, 280Z-owning blonde named Lovey had taught me how to inject coke. There would be members of punk scene remnants like 45 Grave and the Circle Jerks coming to our almost nightly parties, while guys in metal newborns like Rat and Wasp spilled out into the courtyard and the street. Girls would arrive in shifts. One would be climbing out the window while another was coming in the door. Me and Tommy had our window and Nicky had his. All we'd have to say is, "Somebody's here, you have to go," and they'd go. Although sometimes they'd only go as far as the room across the hall. One chick who used to come over was an obnoxiously overweight redhead who couldn't even fit through the window, but she had a Jaguar XJS, which was Tommy's favorite car. He wanted to drive that car more than anything. Finally, she told him that if he fucked her, she'd let him drive the Jaguar. That night, Nicky and I walked into the house to find Tommy with his spindly legs flat on the floor and this big, naked, quivering mass bouncing mercilessly up and down on top of him. We just stepped over him, grabbed a rum and coke, and sat on our decimated couch to watch the spectacle. They look like a red...
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where you can listen to this and many other books for free for 30 days.